Let's go through some things that have happened this month. First up, we're going to talk about some news items. First thing is the Bank of England Monetary Committee met recently and have kept base rate the same at 3.75%. Earlier in the year, there was talk about the base rate coming down slightly over the course of 2026. However, due to the current economic and political uncertainty with the Middle East, then the forecast has been reset with the expectation that base rate will stay the same for the rest of the year. That can obviously change, but right now, that's what it's looking like happening. I'm not going to talk too much about this because I'm going to cover a little bit more about base rate a little bit later. Secondly, there's news about the motor finance redress scheme. As you all know, this is where customers will missold finance when purchasing cars on HP, etc., over a number of years. The FCA has now set out how it plans to redress this. Cost to the lenders involved is an amazing £9.1 billion. Customers will receive on average £829 per person as redress for this mis-selling. You can find more details on the FCA website and how you'll be able to apply for this compensation. The FCA has launched a call for input with regard to how its regulations can better support SMEs in accessing business finance. The focus areas will cover debt, equity, alternative finance, and it aims to look at regulatory barriers that can affect the cost of providing finance. The FCA is seeking input from SMEs, banks, and other non-bank lenders and industry experts. Next steps will be a roundtable with key stakeholders, which is planned for May 2026, with a summary of insights and future actions to be published later in the year. This is really interesting news, as there's a lot of people calling for more regulation with regard to SME finance. Watch this space with regard to that. So how did we perform this month? Thankfully, it was a record month for revenue from a Sedulo debt advisory perspective. We completed on 135 deals. Now, I hate the word deals, but what else do you call them? Really, it's 135 times we've helped the business access the finance they need to help them grow. The funds out on them 135 deals was £30 million, which means our average facility size for the month was £222,000. That ranged from helping customers with £10,000, which might urgently have paid wages, to a £3.3 million revolving credit facility for stock purchases, and everything in between. One of the things I would say about working with Sedulo is we take as much passion for the small as we do for the large. So whether you're looking for a small amount of finance, which will help to buy stock, will help to pay wages, will help to employ new people, or a much larger facility, we can help with both. As part of our performance for the month, I wanted to talk through 3 particular deals where we've added value and helped clients achieve what they wanted to do this month. The first one is an online retailer D2C brand. Now, they are fast growing, almost £100 million turnover, and they have multi-million pound quarterly VAT liabilities. Now, this business can always afford to pay its VAT obligations, but with the high margins they earn on their sales, it made more sense when looking at this for them to finance that VAT payment over the next quarter, keep that cash in place, and use it to buy additional stock. In the quarter, the business will buy the stock, sell the stock, earn huge margins on that, and that will more than pay for the cost of finance. This is a great example where a business that can afford to pay its VAT liability uses VAT finance as a way of providing extra funding into the business to achieve something that's more profitable than paying the finance costs. Another deal I wanted to speak about was for a confectionery business, 30-year established in Europe, and they were looking to expand into the UK. So essentially, a new start business in the UK. Due to the shareholding variance from the European business to the new UK one, their existing bankers weren't happy to help finance the UK arm. The business spoke to ourselves and we were mandated to be their go-to finance partner, arranging new banking facilities and also finance We arranged a £1 million facility with Close Brothers, confidential invoice discounting, meaning that the business could stand on its own 2 feet without the reliance of their European parent company, and they were able to supercharge their growth into the UK. I wanted to say a huge thank you to Tom Kitchen at Close Brothers for your help with the deal, and also Kazim Jaffer in our Midlands team transacting the opportunity. Thanks guys. The final deal I wanted to talk about was for a pharmacy. Now we have a client who is a one-shop pharmacist, and he had the opportunity to buy a second pharmacy. Carl Valencia in our London team was working on this transaction, and he got terms agreed with a UK High Street bank for the first acquisition for the second store. Mid-transaction, we got a curve out of left field. The client came to us and had found a second acquisition site, in essence taking him from 1 store to 3 stores. Now, the difficulties here were a pharmacist going from 1 site to 3 sites, a lender's always going to worry about a few things. Is the pharmacist spreading themselves too thin? Are the risks of overtrading? And also, a bank doesn't like a surprise mid-transaction, they like more certainty. Using our sector expertise, we pulled together a comprehensive business plan and set of forecasts. We also revalued the first site that they already owned. Revaluing the first site, we were able to show equity in that site, plus the fact that the pharmacist had done a great job of building the value in that site, giving lots of credibility to this business transaction. The result was both pharmacies got acquired. Our client's gone from 1 pharmacy to 3 pharmacies, and so he can now grow much quicker with 3 sites. The lender was Barclays. They produced total debt of 1.27 million on a 15-year term at 2.01% above base. The first pharmacy was completed at a loan to value of 80% and the second at 87%. So getting great value from the banks by utilising our experience in the sector. A huge thank you to Paul Lee at Barclays, to Chris Pearce at Brabner's for the legal work, and a huge well done to Carl Valencia in our London team, who's got such great expertise in this sector. He's a real go-to for anyone in the healthcare sector. And finally, brokers do better. For some reason, I must be on the distribution list for some other brokerages. And so sometimes I get their email marketing emails trying to sell me funding, which is fine. But surely look at who you're sending your emails to. So I had an email from a guy called George. George works at a brokerage, and I won't mention the firm that George works for. George was essentially using the conflict in the Middle East to scaremonger me into looking for finance right now. Basically saying that some analysts are saying that base rate will increase over the coming months because of the conflict, and if I needed funding, I should look immediately as opposed to waiting, because rates will increase. First of all, wow, who are these analysts? All of the predictions I look at currently show that base rate should remain the same for the remainder of the year. I don't know who this guy's getting his intel from. Maybe it's his mate down the pub, or maybe the email's just being used as a way to get people interested in getting finance. It feels really scaremongery and not the way in which people should be doing business. What horrible exploitative pressure selling email. As you can see here, the email's not worded well and is really exploitative and trying to get me to speak to him about finance based on what is essentially a lie. I think it's a really horrible tactic and is something that gives commercial finance experts and brokers a really bad name in the industry. Come on guys, we can do better than this. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, please remember to subscribe and do the bell thing. Any questions or any things you'd like me to include in future, please comment, and I'm more than happy to include them in future updates. Thanks guys.